a 2001 twin bed with 110,000 miles. And the blower from the cab that blows back is stopped blowing.
AC.
The AC,
Yeah.
overhead AC?
Yeah, the one down here is working,
Overhead.
and the one up there is not working. And it just stopped, and we checked the fuse, the 20 amp fuse, and that was good. So any other ideas about what to check next?
Probably have to replace it.
You gotta take the headliner.
I had to replace mine.
The motor opened up.
You have to replace
Yeah.
the blower?
Yeah.
Well, you don't know what the problem is until you get into it, and you gotta take a lot of the trim out to get the headliner down to be able to get access up in there and.
It's hard to access. Take them out.
What
It's a
I
pain.
what I had suggested to her was to remove the switch assembly up here and throw 12 volts directly to the fan. And if it still don't work, then the work begins.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, try to get to anytime I'm troubleshooting a problem, I always try to go backtrack up till I get to a known good. And once I get a known good, then I start working this way to my end result. And somewhere in the middle, you ain't gonna go any further. That's the way all of the diagnostics I do. Okay, I got hands, let's finish over here.
So we also had a 1999 QD that had 3 air conditioners put in it at least. What is?
Compressor.
Huh?
Compressor,
The Volkswagen engine.
Compressor.
Yeah.
Right.
Why? What, I mean,
because places don't service them right.
I mean, the last two was one trip,
Yeah.
the air conditioner.
I know one person that went through 6 compressors, and it's just because the shops that were doing the replacements didn't do it right.
They don't flush
If you
them
do
out
it right,
properly.
it'll last indefinitely. I'm still on my original.
Do you know what they're doing wrong?
Probably not evacuating the system, and probably not, I'm relatively sure they're not going into the overhead and taking out the expansion valve so they can flush the lines and
Flush
get the
the whole
crap out
line.
of it. Because it's so hard to get to. If they did that, it'd probably last indefinitely.
So-
The other secondary problem is most places put too much Freon in. They go by the wrong number.
Okay.
Yeah. On your radiator, there's a sticker that Winnebago put in for the correct amount of Freon for your particular rig. Is
On
it
radiator.
39?
Supposed to.
Supposed to.
Supposed
They
to.
didn't get on all of them. Some of them still say 750 grams, some say 1150 grams. And they're all supposed to say, if it has an overhead air conditioner, they're all supposed to say 39 ounces.
And some of,
Now you can get a rig that has the blower up there, but there's no air conditioning in it. And there have been people that have disconnected that overhead air conditioner because of the problems getting it serviced properly. So then you go back, then you have to go back to the original 27 ounces for the dash unit.
So they disconnect the one up there, which we would be happy to do. We don't care about that.
That can be disconnected under the hood.
yes.
And
There-
I did that, and
There's-
it's been running fine.
The Freon system on the passenger side underneath the hood in the corner, there'll be a little brass block about this big. And right next to it will be a silver block just a little bit bigger. That silver block has lines coming off the bottom that go around and go up to the overhead. If that block is taken out, of course you have to take the Freon out to take it loose and take the block out. Probably want to replace the receiver dryer in the system since it's been open. Recharge it, first you pull a vacuum, the shop will do it, you pull a vacuum and then you charge it up to, I believe it's 27 ounces. And most places don't go by ounces. A good shop will not go by ounces, they will go by the pressure gauges, the high side and the low side. And those numbers should be a certain amount at a certain temperature.
Outside temperature.
Yeah, ambient temperature. The high side's gonna be 200 PSI or something. The low side is gonna be 26, something like that. Whether you got 1 or 2 evaporators, it don't make a difference. It's still 26 on the low side. But the problem now is finding a decent, good AC shop. There's a lot of chains, there's a lot of fly-by-nights and all that, but it's hard to find a good. I know of one in Brownwood, it's called Simmons Radiator Shop.
Simmons?
They do air conditioning you know, radiators, everything, but it's an old mom and pop place, and they know what they're doing.
With the Rialta too.
They can do it with anything.
With AC systems.
Yeah, I want to go back to the air conditioning.
What do you have?
Okay, she wants to go back to
What
the
you
overhead
have.
overhead air conditioning.
Yeah, I have a 2004 HD, about 84,000 miles. So when I turn the fan on, it makes a whole lot of noise, and I'm wondering, do I need to replace that, or,
The overhead fan?
yeah,
Mine has made a horrendous scream ever since we bought it at 3,500 miles, and we're at 190 now.
okay,
And it makes the same noise, and it's been working fine.
all right.
The only thing I
Don't
would,
fix it if it's not broken.
Well, that's what
yeah,
I work under that premise all the time.
Yeah. the only thing I would add, those that have units that are working, okay? When you hit the air conditioning and start it at the dash, the coolant, Freon, it's going up here anyway. So use it. Anytime I turn my air conditioner on, I turn the top on to the second, number 2 setting, and then the dash at number 2 or whatever.
I was told you have to do that. Is that,
I
I
wouldn't
don't know where I got
I
that
leave,
from.
I leave both fans on 2 all the time.
Yeah.
Do you?
Even if I'm not, if
And I told them, we have to have them both on.
if
I read
I'm
it
not running the
somewhere.
air conditioner, or I am running the heater, or whatever, it just helps circulate the air better.
Oh,
Yeah.
More consistent through the rig.
It's not a have to.
And that's probably why I had to change that fan motor
Yeah.
at, I think I was about 140,000 miles.
Right.
The first day coming up there, we ran the AC all day long. We were nice and cool. We only got 13 miles to the gallon. Does that make
But
sense?
it was nice.
And the second day, we got 17 miles to the gallon because we didn't use the AC one bit.
That's a big difference.
That's too big a
You
difference
know,
for
to
just
me,
that. But
we
something
drive
else.
motorhomes.
Yeah.
Who cares what the mileage is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We drive, if you care that much about the mileage, you ought not be driving a motorhome.
Yeah.
And
Well, we
with the-
just wonder why there would be that much of a difference. I mean,
And
There
with
shouldn't
the,
be.
with the Rialta, I always said we save on fuel and we spend on food. Over here.
And I'm gonna add more air conditioning questions, so maybe everyone could jump in on air conditioning questions. So my, dash, VW, air conditioning, top and bottom, everything works so cold, it's amazing. It's an amazing system. And then one day, it's hot. And all I do is turn it off for 10 minutes, keep driving down the road, maybe 15 minutes, turn it back on, cold again for another 3 weeks. And every so often, it's just warm. As long as I turn it off and turn it back on half hour later, I'm fine.
It could- I can think of 2 things it could be. Your Freon could be right at the critical level, because there's a low pressure switch in the
Yep.
system. If it's not at a certain level, it won't turn on the compressor.
That's right.
Okay.
There's a high pressure switch, which actually shuts it off. But if it's borderline on the low end, it won't turn it on. The other thing I know of is, it could be the clutch on the compressor. If that clutch doesn't seat good, it may not be actually spinning the compressor. Even though it says it's on, it may not be.
And this particular trip, maybe jump on that for a second. That's this particular trip, instead of turning the whole thing off, all I did was did the switch, the compressor switch,
Yeah.
and ran another half hour and then turned the switch back on,
Okay.
and it worked.
Here's what I'm thinking is going on. When you're under air conditioning mode, it's sucking down your low side because you're at the borderline of capacity. And as soon as you get down below the capacity and that bottom low pressure switch, it opens, shuts it off. Then the pressures tend to equalize,
Right.
which allows the low pressure switch to reactivate to hook back up. And then you turn the compressor on and it starts doing this again until you get to the
Yeah,
low.
that would make sense with one exception, unless you correct me if I'm wrong, is I can go 3 weeks with it just fine, and then one day, it just won't work.
Taking
I was thinking if it would be borderline low, it'd be kind of like one day on, one day
Take
off.
into consideration your ambient.
Oh.
Ambient temperature and how long you drive before you turn it on.
Yep.
Because if it's borderline and you drive for a while and get some heat in there, it's going to expand that and raise the pressure. So it's going to be, the switch is made and everything works fine.
Okay.
actually have two questions, and because everybody's talking about air, AC, let me tackle that one first. My overhead air blows like crazy, but doesn't blow cold. But the dash air blows cold as can be.
Do you have an overhead air conditioner?
Yes. Well, I guess I don't know. Maybe I don't.
Look in,
It says
look in
it.
the engine compartment.
Okay.
On the passenger side, there should be 2 blocks that are bolted together over there.
All right.
If there's 2 blocks bolted together, then you have an overhead air
They're
conditioner.
about that big.
If you
okay.
only have 1 block, then you don't have an
Well, maybe
overhead.
that's the
Because
problem.
they sold them both ways. It still has the fan, but there's no air conditioner.
Okay.
Got to dream big, or don't dream at all.